Namaste and welcome to H2O. Today I'm going to bring to you something really unique. It's about the weapons that were used in the Kurukshetra war 5000 years ago. When we think of Mahabharata, the first thing that comes to our mind is the Kurukshetra war between Pandavas and Kauravas. The location of the battlefield was Kurukshetra, also known as Dharmashetra, which is around 70 to 80 kilometers from our present capital of India, Delhi. The battle lasted for 18 days. The Kaurava army consisted of 11 divisions or Akshauhinis, whereas the Pandavas consisted of only 7 Akshauhinis. An Akshauhini is a battle formation of 21,870 chariots, 21,870 elephants, 65,610 horses and 1,09,350 infantry. So, one Akshouhini consisted of 2,18,700 warriors. The strength of Pandavas was 15,30,900 warriors and Kauravas 24,05,700. Thus, the total count of warriors who participated in the war was 39,36,600 warriors. Let's take a quick look at the Kaurava army and the Pandava army. The Kaurava army, as I mentioned, consisted of 11 Akshauhinis. Each Akshauhini was headed by Bhagavad, Shalya, Karna, Kritavarma, who is actually heading the Narayani Sena of Krishna, and Jayadratha, Sudakshina, Balika, Kalinga forces, Shakuni, Susharma, and finally the Kurus and other allies. So they formed the Kaurava army. The Pandava army consisted of 7 Akshauhinis, headed by Satyaki, Malyadwaja. So they are actually the conjugated armed force of Pandyas, Cholas and the Cheras. Drishtaketu, Sahadeva, who is actually the son of Jarasandha, then Drupada with his sons, Virata, and finally Gadotkaja and other allies. They formed the 7 Akshauhinis for Pandava army. According to Dhanurveda, weapons are divided into 4 kinds as per the use of such weapons. Mukta, Amukta, Mukta, Amukta are the main types of weapons. Mukta means which is released completely from the user. For example, we can take discus or chakras and darts. Amukta type of weapons cannot be released from the hand. For example, gada, sword. Weapons which are sometimes released are called Mukta Amukta. For example, Shula, axe. The Mukta weapons are again classified based on their mode of release. Weapons hurled with the help of machines are called Yantra Mukta. A catapult ball or an arrow shot from a bow are examples for this. Weapons hurled directly by hand are called Panimukta. For example, throwing of stones, spears, etc. Weapons which are hurled with the power of mantras are called Mantra Mukta. For example, Brahmastra, Pashubhadastra, etc. It is mentioned in the great epic that 1.6 billion people, that is approximately 160 crores of people, had lost their lives in the Kurukshetra war. The number 1.6 billion is really astonishing. This could be the people who had lost their lives directly or indirectly involved in the war. On an average, 8 to 9 crore people would have lost their lives each day. So we already know that the Kurukshetra war lasted for 18 days. So how could that be a possibility? Did the Pandavas, Kauravas and their allies had such great weapons of mass destruction at that time? Were they using any extra-terrestrial or futuristic weapons? If so, how could they acquire those weapons? Questions are plenty. Let's figure out some of them based on the references from Mahabharata and archaeological evidences, views from historians, scientists, and so on. Let's take a look at some of the astras or arrows or missiles used in the Kurukshetra war. They are Brahmashirsha, Brahmastra, Pashupatastra, Vaishnavastra, Narayanastra, Agniastra, Vayuastra, Nagastra, Vajrastra, Varunastra, Sammohanastra, Garudastra, etc. The description of these weapons indicate that some kind of an advanced science or technology existed during that period. The weapons include earthly ones as well as highly powerful and futuristic ones. Could those warriors acquire those advanced weaponry from some extraterrestrial forces? Do you think that our gods and demigods are extraterrestrial? By chanting mantras with utmost concentration, ancient warriors could acquire it from gods or activate it remotely and launch it. Could the ancient warriors use telepathic communication for a remote activation? They could have used something like a GPS or something similar to target and launch attacks. The Agni Astra could have been arrows tipped with naphtha. The Nagastras could have been the arrows tipped with the snake poison, and it could come back to the warrior. Could this be similar to the reusable missiles as part of the present day weaponry? In fact, our ex-president and missile man of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir, a month before his demise in 2019, had advised our DRDO chief to work on reusable missiles. Brahmashirsha, the ultimate weapon. Could this be the nuclear bomb of the present era? Many of our ancient warriors have used this weapon. This can be invoked by mantras where an object or even a blade of grass can be transformed into a mighty astra. In the Kurukshetra war, Arjuna and Ashwadhama were engaged in a fierce battle, and Ashwadhama used a Brahmashirsha astra. He took a blade of grass, chanted mantras, and invoked this celestial weapon. It is mentioned in Mahabharata that this blazed up with a huge sphere of fire going up. As per sage Vyasa, the region where the weapon called Brahmashirsha is used will suffer drought for 12 years, and the clouds will not pour a single drop of water for this period. We know what had happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in the Second World War. Once Dr. J. Robert Oppenheimer, who was the chief architect of modern-day atomic bomb and in charge of the Manhattan Project, was asked by a student after the Manhattan explosion on how he felt after having exploded the first atomic bomb on Earth. Oppenheimer's reply for the question was that it's not the first atomic bomb, but the first atomic bomb in modern times. He also said a verse from Bhagavad Gita. It's as given below. If the radiance of 1,000 suns were to burst at once into the sky, that would be like the splendor of the Mighty One. He strongly believed that nukes were used in ancient India during the Kurukshetra war. There is also a reference in our Puranas of a weapon used against the Vrishnis and the Andhakas, which sounds frighteningly similar to a modern nuclear explosion. A single projectile charged with all the power of the universe, an incandescent column of smoke and flame as bright as the 1,000 suns, rose in all its splendor. An iron thunderbolt, a gigantic messenger of death, which reduced to ashes the entire race of the Vrishnis and the Andhakas. The bodies were so burned as to be unrecognizable. The hair and nails fell out. Pottery broke without apparent cause, and the birds turned white. After a few hours, all foodstuffs were infected. To escape from this fire, the soldiers threw themselves in streams to wash themselves and their equipment. Excavations at Mohenjo-Daro revealed towns which had been completely destroyed quite unexpectedly without any traces of natural disasters. Scientists Davenport and Vincenti put forward a theory saying that the ruins were of a nuclear blast, as they found big stratums of clay and green glass. They said that the high temperature melted clay and sand, and they hardened immediately afterwards. Similar stratums of green glass could also be found in Nevada deserts after every nuclear explosion. When excavations of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro reached the street level, they discovered skeletons scattered about the cities, many holding hands and sprawling in the streets as if some instant horrible doom had taken place. People were just lying unburied in the streets of the city. And these skeletons are thousands of years old, even by traditional archaeological standards. What could cause such a thing? Why did the bodies not decay or get eaten by wild animals? Furthermore, there is no apparent cause of a physical violent death. Those skeletons that are carbon dated to 2500 BC were among the most radioactive ever found, on par with those at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. At one site, the Soviet scholars found a skeleton which had a radioactive level 50 times greater than normal. Huge masses of walls and foundations of the ancient city were fused together, and since there is no indication of a volcanic eruption at Mohenjo-Daro or at the other cities, the intense heat to melt clay vessels can only be explained by an atomic blast or some other unknown weapon. These are conclusive evidences that powerful and futuristic weaponry were used in Kurukshetra war. The problem of the best evidence is often that it sounds too good to be true. Only careful analysis of the evidence will reveal what it is. Thank you. If you find my videos interesting, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell icon to get notifications on the latest videos.